Hello, welcome back to our Women in STEM interview series for Girl Scout Week 2024. I'm here today with a fabulous scientist who's coming to us from all the way in California. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about what she does in the STEM field and a little bit about herself.
So, hi everyone, my name is Jolina Alonso. I am currently a first year PhD student at UC Berkeley. Um, I'm in the nuclear engineering department and I work with the heavy element group up at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. How I got here, I did a few internships during my undergraduate experience. I had the fabulous opportunity to work at two national labs, Pacific Northwest and Brookhaven National Lab. And I came in with an undergraduate in chemical engineering. So a little different from nuclear engineering. They brought me in. I did some work experience on radiation detection and measurement, and also some applications in nuclear medicine. So that's more or less how I ended up transitioning into my PhD at Berkeley. I really fell in love with research and I just love discovering new things. And I felt like this was the best opportunity for me to do it here.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's very cool that you got to work at so many like different kinds of labs. What's working in a lab like?
Um, it's it's definitely a different experience. There are many people. We work with like an interdisciplinary team. So there's undergraduates, graduate students, postdocs, like staff scientists, and then you have like your PIs or your principal investigators with it. So you're just filled with a lot of people of different levels of experience, but everyone has like different specializations. So it's very cool to come together to give off new ideas. Because even like as an undergraduate, when I was working there, I had the opportunity to give my ideas. And even like people higher up than me, they were like, oh, wow, I didn't think of it this way. So I think it's just a very eye-opening experience and realizing that even being like starting off at an entry level, like you can contribute so much.
That that's so cool that you have all of these different people at all these different levels with all these different
Yeah.
ideas that are able to come together and do some work. Did you always know that you wanted to be in like the STEM career field? Did you even back in like high school or younger than that? Or was there a moment that sort of sparked the interest?
So I think I've always been interested in measuring things and being precise. Initially, I thought I wanted to be a baker. I loved baking, measuring things, making something out of these ingredients and turning into something completely different. So, beginning of high school, I was like, oh, I want to be a baker. And then in high school, they have you take like all these classes, so like chemistry, physics, environmental science, all that. So that really geared me into the more science application based with it. And I was like, oh, like this chemistry class is kind of cool. That'd be so interesting. And that's how I got more into it. I did do some science fairs when I was younger. I think my parents put me in them since I was very young. I remember doing them in elementary school. So that's how it transitioned to that. And I think definitely having my dad, he's also an engineer, having that experience was very fortunate for me to have. Kind of guided me in there. And then in high school, I had an amazing teacher. She was my chemistry teacher. I took her for 2 years. Um, and that's more or less how I ended up in chemical engineering. I thought, oh, chemistry, that's cool. My dad's an engineer, also very cool. Let's try chemical engineering. And it actually turns out chemistry and chemical engineering are so different. But that's how I got my foot in the door with that.
Absolutely. And baking is actually like very like chemistry oriented. So I guess
Yeah,
it's a surprise that you loved chemistry so much.
yeah, no, for sure. Like ever since I was young, my mom, she was like, oh, you're gonna turn out to be some sort of chemist. You're gonna be measuring things. Like, so it was great.
You know, it's interesting because I've interviewed two other people and both of
Mhm.
them actually also started out in sort of like chemistry related fields and then
Yeah,
switched to something else. I don't know what it is, I guess, about chemistry.
I
Um,
don't know. Yeah,
so
but
have you
it's
oh, have you found that you had, I know you had some history in being a Girl Scout. Have you found that Girl Scouts influenced you in any way or inspired you, or that any sort of community of women had some like support or influence on you?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. So I did it when I was very young, and the fact that I can still recall some moments when I was in Girl Scouts just shows like how memorable it was to me. I just remember having that community of women. Like we had like our tasks, we had to get like certain things done in order. Like the incentive was like patches, but as a young child, like that's just what gets you. You need a goal and like these important skills. So I just remember it just taught me a lot of different skills, especially like within a supportive group of women to do that. Like I still keep in contact with some people, not directly, but like on Facebook. And I'm like, wow, I remember when we were in Girl Scouts together. And I don't know, it was just very nice to have that experience that is trying to build you as a person to make you just be able to contribute in a community and a society. And just being in a community of women was so great, especially in like the world today. I feel like as a woman or any person like that just needs a group like that to feel supported.
Oh, absolutely. Do you have any advice for girls who may want to pursue nuclear engineering or even just working in a lab?
Yeah, definitely. I think the best thing that they could do is if they're in high school or middle school, anything like that, continue to go into any form of science. It will really open your eyes. If there's any summer camps, I know there's a lot to do. And I know me, I'm personally an introvert, so signing up for those camps was a little scary. But what really got me in is like my interest. I'm here to learn science. And then once you're in those communities with people, you really branch out. And once you're already in there, like you'll just hear so many other people interested, and then you really like spring off of each other and grow in that way. Um, but when you're in high school, I really encourage people to take different sciences, even if they seem a little scary or a little hard. It's meant to challenge you. That's the only way that you're able to grow. You get a little challenge and you get this great community of people, and they will help you through it. And then in regards with working in national labs, I really encourage people if they're in their like younger years of undergraduate study or even like later years, apply to those internships. They hire so many individuals from many different backgrounds because the key for national labs, they want so many people with different backgrounds because they want you have a different style of thinking. They have you in this job. So my advice is just put yourself out there, apply, and challenge yourself a little bit. And it's okay to fail if you do end up there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sometimes failing is the best way that we learn how to take the next step and move forward.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Some
Uh,
of the lessons that I've learned were best when I failed multiple times. I think it helps a person grow.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite part about either being a graduate student or working with nuclear engineering just in general?
I so being a graduate student, I think the best part about it is the community that I have here, whether it's with my cohort, the people I came with my first year. It's very great. We're all going through similar experiences, just having them to lean on a bit and be like, I'm struggling on this. Can you help me? And they're like, yeah. And then they'll come to you and be like, I'm struggling. Can you help me? So it's a very supportive community to be in. But even beyond that, like the faculty that you could have as a graduate student is amazing. I'm fortunate enough to have a support system down at campus, but also up in the lab because up at Berkeley National Labs, that's where I do my research. And so it's like my PI's group there, but also here in the nuclear engineering department. I think that's my favorite part. Definitely the community of like-minded individuals. Um, and then I guess my favorite part about nuclear engineering are the different applications I could go with it. So I'm hoping to get my research into many different applications, whether it be medical applications. That's very cool. So a lot of it goes into cancer treatments or diagnostics, anything like that, but also the nuclear fuel cycle. So clean energy. And that is so cool. And a big portion of nuclear engineering is actually non-proliferation. So making sure we can continue to use these like radioisotopes in medical applications and fuel cycle, but safely and for peaceful uses. So yeah, nuclear engineering, it's niche, but there's many applications you could go into, which I think is
Yeah,
very cool.
It sounds like that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for Girl Scout Week. Do you have any last comments or last words of inspiration for anyone who may be watching with us this week?
Yeah. Just anyone in STEM, don't be afraid to take that leap. I have left many times and fallen short, but something's gonna stick and you can get through it and you're gonna have a community to support you, especially in the Girl Scout community. So just don't be afraid to do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today. For everybody else, keep joining us for more interviews during this Girl Scout Week.
Thank you.